In late April of 2025, a 15-year-old girl would vanish after being dropped off for school, only for police to discover months of disturbing secret messages sent to her by grown men from across the country, and luring her to Las Vegas.
Still no answers.
9 years ago today.
What happened to these two young children?
Remains a mystery.
Urgent story unfolding right now. Who is missing? An unsolved murder.
"15-year-old Alisa Petrov was born April 16th of 2010 to her parents Olga and Nikolai Petrov. The family lived in American Forks, Utah, a city along Utah Lake, about 32 miles south of Salt Lake City and 13 miles north of Provo. Alisa is described as a very funny, trusting girl that liked to strike up conversations with people at the park while hiking or on family holidays. Alisa wanted to study forensics and was already doing some AP classes this semester before she went missing. And as most teens, she was always on her phone. Her mother Olga saying, quote, "She was always trying to meet people and talk to people. She was just trusting, and we cautioned her about it all the time, to at least be careful. That's just how she is, and they took advantage of her." End quote. Alisa's parents have confirmed that they did have conversations with her around social media safety. Within the last 6 months, they'd had conversations with her about talking to strangers online, including sites such as Discord and Snapchat. And when they found contacts on her Snapchat that they didn't know, they told her that she needed to delete them. They monitored her phone, checked all of her messages, and they seen no indications on her cell phone that she was planning on running away. Despite this, Alisa would take an 8-year-old Gen 1 iPad that the family had kept in a box of old items that they'd been keeping due to old family photos being on it, and she hid it in her dresser. No one knew she had this iPad or was secretly using it. And under her parents' noses, 2 grown men would be sliding into their young teen daughter's Instagram messages. And these 2 grown men would spend months grooming her, their conversations growing more and more disturbing as the days went on. Released affidavits would sickeningly show how these PDF files slowly gained Alisa's trust, eventually convincing her to send nude photographs and engaging in perverted sexual fantasies. Her mother Olga saying, quote, "We regularly checked her phone, and there was nothing suspicious. Everything seemed to be normal, just classmates, neighbors. We never thought she could be talking to strangers in this way." End quote. Now, 2 specific men are known to have been communicating with Alisa. 37-year-old William Taylor Glines from Texas City, Texas is one of these individuals. We then have 35-year-old Matthew Menard, and he's from Miami, Florida. Documents allege that both men separately asked Alisa if she was 15. Documents also say that the conversations were largely sexual in nature, with both men allegedly asking the victim to send photos as well as videos. Over the course of several months, Matthew corresponded with Alisa for the purpose of soliciting sex, sodomy, and child essay material from her. The affidavit reading, quote, "He discussed in graphic detail his intent to essay the child. He encouraged and engaged with the teen, all from the state of Florida, where all his substantial ties to the community and resources are. Matt tells the victim he will fly to Las Vegas for a business trip later in May, and she can lay low until he gets there. They then plan to fly to Los Angeles, California, together for several days, before ultimately going back to Miami, Florida, where Matt lives." End quote. William allegedly started talking to Alisa around February 3rd, and at one point said he was double-checking that she was 14 or 15. Now, there have been some portions of the conversation between Alisa and Matthew released in the affidavit. And I think to truly understand the monster that Matthew Menard is, I think we need to talk about this portion of conversation that's been released. But be aware these are explicit messages that a grown man was sending to a minor. Matthew would message saying, "Are you secretly 15? LOL. Alisa responds saying, "What the fuck? Of course, yepers, I'm actually in middle school." Matthew would then send multiple other messages. "But for real though, when we meet, we gonna be fucking all night. I want to tie you where your hands are tied to your legs so I can fuck you and you can't move. I need you to give me the best BJ ever though. I need some deep throat action. I want to fuck your throat. I'm coming in your mouth and you're sucking it out like a straw." Fucking disgusting. And the fact that those words have to be read out loud and the fact that they were sent to a minor is just... there's no words. You know, grown adults can say whatever they want to each other, but when this is an adult saying this to a child, There's no words. It's also noted that Matthew discussed methods with Alisa of ways she could travel secretly without being detected or tracked. They also discussed future plans where they could create fake scenarios where Matthew would tell people that Alisa was his daughter. On April 21st of 2025, Alisa was dropped off for school near 655 South and 500 East in American Fork around 9:30 a.m. Some articles list Canyon Grove Academy as her school. However, that school is nowhere near the intersection listed, and there's also no gas station nearby, which we will discuss in a moment. So it's been determined that her school is most likely Polaris High School, which is a certified private school. Olga claims her daughter went into the building but didn't make it to class. Teachers never reported seeing her that day, and her parents would only be alerted to her disappearance when they showed up after school to pick her up and were told that she was never at school all day. For what we do know, Alisa left the school after being dropped off by her mother, instead going to a Speedway gas station across the parking lot from her school where teens often went for snacks. During this time, she also managed to tell 2 boys that she had plans to run away, and they told her not to. Security footage would show Alisa inside of the gas station purchasing items. She then convinced a man outside of the gas station to give her a ride to the UTA Frontrunner bus station, located at 6786 West, 7750 North, where she paid cash for a ticket and boarded a train towards Provo, Utah. This ride would have taken about an hour and a half. Utah Transit Authority security footage shows the teenager arriving at Provo Station, located at 690 South University Avenue. It's then said she asked multiple people to help her get a ticket to go to Las Vegas, specifically approaching a woman where she asked if she could get her a ticket in exchange for cash. There's also mention by parents of a white SUV. This all seems exactly like how Matthew would have instructed her to secretly travel. On top of that, she also used a stranger's phone at the bus stop to message William. She texted him that she was safe and told him not to respond. Police have also released that Alisa had a phone on her as well as an iPad with her when she disappeared, and police are still investigating to see if the location data was turned off for those devices. Due to the circumstances, Alisa is currently considered a runaway juvenile. However, when we consider all of this information, she is in grave danger. This isn't a teen girl that might have just ran away to a friend's house because she had a fight with her parents. This is a girl who is being groomed online for months by grown men across the country who instructed her how to run away from home without leaving a trace. There was also mention by parents of a note being left behind that indicated a hotel in Las Vegas. Now, that iPad that Alisa was using, her parents actually never found it when she initially went missing. It wouldn't be until police searched her bedroom would they find the iPad hidden inside of her dresser. And on that iPad is where they would end up discovering all of these conversations between her and Matthew and William. It's also unclear if Matthew and William know each other. After discovering these messages, local police in Miami would end up contacting Matthew, who would allegedly admit to talking to Alisa on Instagram, and his phone would also be seized. However, he was not arrested at that time. Why that is, no one really knows. And what's so terrifying about that is that no one knows where he is now. Now, William here would actually be identified after a tip was submitted to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that seems to be related to that text message that Alisa sent him off of that stranger's phone. After this, he would end up being arrested in Texas. Weeks later, Olga and Nikolai would take the news to speak on their daughter's disappearance, and this is what they had to say.
So when we first heard about Texas, we were hopeful that they will find her there. But then the news came out that they just arrested some individual and they didn't find Alisa there. So basically, we are kind of back to square one. But we were talking to police about some other things, and they say that they still have some leads to follow.
Here on the Mountain of Entertainment, we take crime off the streets and bring it right into your living room. We're throwing the book at boredom with the biggest crime lineup you've ever seen. Gonna need backup here?
We just don't know what that actually means because they don't want to give us any details, but according to them, they still have a lot of stuff to go through and they're still working on it. And the FBI is saying exactly the same thing, that the police is working really hard. So, and considering that they cooperated with Texas to actually do something, seems like they are actually working hard, and it's not just in Utah, but we don't know where the person is who she spoke with or she ran away to. We still do not know that.
Olga, obviously Mother's Day came and went. I imagine it was very difficult for you, but how have you been able to process just not knowing where your daughter is after all this time?
It's difficult, definitely difficult. We're still hoping that we will find her safe. I know almost 3.5 weeks passed, but we still have a lot of hopes. Police is working, and we don't know where she is, but hopefully she can see that we miss her, that we wait for her, and we will be happy to bring her back home.
Nikolai, you and I spoke a few weeks ago, and when we did, you mentioned trying to maybe retrace some of the steps of your daughter that night that she got off the train in Provo. What did you do and who did you speak to when you went back down to Provo and that surrounding area after she had left that train station?
So the second day after, well, I mean, the first day after she disappeared, we did go there and we met a lady. Her name is Joanna, and she spoke to Alisa about. Alisa asked her to buy a ticket to Las Vegas, right? She then connected us with the food bank people, and then there was another guy who apparently Alisa came and asked to drive her to Salt Lake City instead of Las Vegas. And then we connected police with them, and they said that they got some footage, but police is also not really telling us like what they saw in this footage. It's a little bit weird here because this is actually I just asked them 2 days ago, like what did you see there and what not, and they did not really clarify anything specifically, but it sounded like they got some footage, they looked at something, and they didn't see anything identifying or weird on that footage. But basically, as far as we understand, there are several people that are saying that then Alisa was talking to somebody at some white SUV, but we do not know if this white SUV took her or not, and we do not know where she went after that. So
when you learned about the involvement from the Texas Police Department, you and I had spoken about the online platforms, the gaming, the conversations and such. Did you ever suspect that to be really true to what you were thinking? I mean, I know you were believing it, but when you found out that there was this random police department in Texas that got this cyber tip, what did that mean for you in terms of finding your daughter?
I just thought that maybe she is there, just like Olga. Like as soon as we heard about it about maybe 4 hours after they posted it. Somebody told us on Facebook, and they said, "Hey, look at this! There is this news." So we were very hopeful, but then we called the police, and they told us, "Well, there is a guy. He was basically like." Talking to Alisa, but he was basically arrested on unrelated charges, and that's all they literally told us. And we do not know where it went from there.
Police can only do so much. Of course, they have a lot of people working on this case. In the instance now, you've mentioned the FBI, South Jordan Police, whoever seems to get a tip, and then obviously law enforcement, internet crimes in Texas. How much more can you do as family to try to find her? Where do you feel like your line is drawn?
That's the problem. Like basically, police doesn't want to actually comment on anything. Like we spoke to them and we asked them, would it help if we put like billboards or something? They said it's all up to you. They just don't want to comment. What they say is that they are doing their own investigations, that we spoke to several nonprofit organizations that help searching for kids. They seem to be very helpful. Like all of them seem to have different ideas how to search for kids. Like for example, one organization, they are convinced that Alisa should be somewhere nearby because they see that most of the kids, they just stay somewhere nearby where they live. Then we have another organization, they're convinced Alisa is in Las Vegas. I spoke to another one yesterday, and they have some kind of like internet-based searches that they do. So everybody does something differently, basically, and all of them had some success in the past, which is very helpful. And it seems like since they're doing it from different angles, maybe it actually increases the chance that she would be found. It's just that right now, from our perspective, we don't even know what to do. Like last week, because this guy who said that she's nearby went to some Starbucks. I only went to about 15 of them or so, actually 20. But basically, he said, why don't you just talk to Starbucks employees and see if they saw her, like if she's nearby. I spoke to them and nobody saw her. So basically,
There is a lot more to my job than most people think. It's a career like no other. Although we go through extremely tough situations, we still have time.
then we try to figure out what else to do. And right now, we are basically not even sure what to do.
So Nikolai, since the very beginning, you created the website to try to have the pictures out there and the information, but also you've had the reward. Has anyone reached out to you to say that they believe they have seen her?
Well, so here is the problem. So people that are trying to help, they say that they don't even care about the reward. And we had one guy who was very helpful. He was a trucker and he saw somebody who looked like Alisa. He didn't speak English, so he called me. And then basically I spoke to him. I called the police. I translated what he was saying. We were also very hopeful because he said it just didn't seem to make sense that this girl was like a daughter of the guy who was driving her. But police said that they actually found the car. They basically spoke to the driver and the girl in the car, and they realized it's not Alisa. So they did phenomenal job of finding them. So it seems like they are doing a lot. It's just that we do not know where to focus. But besides that, we had a lot of scammers, which basically, like the most common scamming technique is they basically give us some money. Usually it ranges between $3,000 and $6,000. And then they say, we'll tell you where Alisa is. And they say it's 100% Alisa. But we already had like 20 tips where they send pictures and they look very similar, just not exactly the right person. So it's really weird right now. So we are still hoping somebody sees her. Let's basically police know and they find her. Like it's just that everything takes time. Like even in that example with the truck, he gave us a hint around 3 p.m. or something. I forgot what it was, but they only found the actual car like a few hours later. So yeah.
Well, Nikolai and Olga, we're doing everything we can here, of course, to try to keep this out there so people can see it. If they see the photos, if they recognize something, to not only call police, but also get in touch with you to let them know you believe that there may have been a sighting. So, and be wary of those scammers. We hear about it more and more and more of people trying to take advantage of a situation. Nikolai and Olga Petrov joining us tonight. Thank you both.
Now, both men are said to have lengthy histories of petty crime. However, they've never been previously arrested for anything related to child SA, which really doesn't mean anything. It really just means they were never caught before and they were doing it, or that this was the first time they were doing it, although I don't really believe that. That's probably the case. William Glines would be arrested on May 8th and is facing 10 charges, including exploitation and enticement of a minor. According to the South Jordan Police Department, William was charged with attempted aggravated exploitation of a minor, sexual exploitation of a minor, enticement of a minor, and criminal solicitation. He's also been charged in Texas for possession of more than 50 CSAM images or videos. Matthew is facing 6 similar charges. Both men are accused of contacting Alisa online and asking for explicit images, even after learning she was underage. Utah prosecutors have requested that no bail arrest warrants be issued for both suspects, and despite this, Matthew still remains at large. This is also the only photo we have of him out there. So please take one more good look at it, because this man is still walking freely. Police are currently unable to confirm that Alisa is still alive. However, they also have no evidence to say she's not. Olga wants to believe that her daughter never met up with either of these men and is just too embarrassed now to come home. She said that Alisa didn't have much money for a whole month, and it would have been below 40 degrees Fahrenheit some nights since she was gone and she didn't have a coat with her. It also makes me wonder if they suspect something else may have happened to her, since there seems to be no footage, at least known to the public, after being at that Provo bus station. And you'd think if she had been able to somehow get a ride somewhere, there might have been some kind of footage of her getting into a vehicle or possibly arriving in Vegas somewhere if she did get some kind of bus to Vegas. But I was also hearing that she may have needed to still travel to Salt Lake City before she could even get a bus to Vegas. But let me know down below if you live locally and if that's what may have had to happen, which might have meant that she might have hitchhiked again and asked another stranger to give her a ride somewhere, which is absolutely terrifying. Alisa's family has also set up a website called Find Alisa, where they're offering a $20,000 reward for information. On the site, they've written, quote, "We all want you to return. You will not get in trouble for running away. We are not mad at you. We absolutely love you regardless of what happened. We just want you to return back so that we are together as a happy family who care about each other, and we will try our hardest to make you happy. Please come back." End quote. This case really reminds me of the Michaela Bali case from Canada that I've covered, where 16-year-old Michaela would skip school and security footage would show her waiting around town at a local coffee shop and being on her phone the entire time. Who she was talking to is still unknown to this day. She would then vanish, and it's been 9 years, and there are still no answers as to what happened to Michaela. On top of that, the fact that Matthew has not been caught yet either means that he is in hiding somewhere, or is it possible he did travel across the country and meet up with Alisa, which is terrifying knowing what his disturbing fantasies were for her. But what's also scary is that he wanted her to meet in Las Vegas, and that he was telling her to go there early, and then he was eventually, a couple weeks later, going to meet up with her there when he went on a business trip. Could that mean that he had other intentions for her there? Could he have told her that he had a, quote unquote friend there waiting for her when she arrived? And could this be a trafficking ring? Could it be something even bigger and scarier? Not that this isn't scary to begin with. And if not, just to think that a 15-year-old girl could be wandering Vegas alone, which is known as one of the biggest trafficking hubs. It could lead to so many horrible outcomes. Obviously, the best case scenario is that she is just too embarrassed to come home after everything now. But if you are out there, Alisa, none of this is your fault. And please come home. Please call 911. You'll be rescued. You are not in trouble. The best thing we can do now is spread the word. If you're able to share out this video, share out her missing persons flyer, share out her photos, as well as Matthew's photo as well. If we're able to spread this far enough, hopefully it'll get to the people who have answers. And if you think you know something, please contact the authorities. No tip is too small. You may think you have information that authorities already have, but it may be the information that cracks this case. There is a young girl out there who is in danger, and there is a predator who is on the run. A predator with very disturbing intentions. And until he gets caught as well, he is a danger to everyone's children. Let's take one more good look at Alisa. 15-year-old Alisa is described as standing 5'3" tall and weighing around 122 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. Alisa was last seen wearing a gray Harvard University shirt, a black hoodie, baggy jeans, and a dark backpack. There's currently a $20,000 reward for anyone with information on her whereabouts. My heart goes out to Alisa's family. I truly, truly hope that this is a positive ending. And again, if you're able to do your part, please share all of the story out. This case is only about a month old. There is still hope, and there is still a chance she can be found safely. And as always, I hope you all stay safe out there, lock your windows and doors, and I hope to see you in the next video.